we've got the 10 guidelines for a first date. I got to ask you right up front, Doc Love, would taking a girl to a Caribbean paradise, would that be an awkward first date? You say people.
You don't want to do that. That's a little too heavy. You do that after maybe 3 to 4 months when you own this girl and she idolizes you.
When you own it.
And there's no red flags.
I love this guy. Men, you say men rush into rejection.
Right.
And I don't understand exactly what that means.
Women fall in love slower. I see this girl, my interest level is 95. She looks at me and she says, it could be 95. We're going to start off at 65. He's got to sell me from 65 to 95. He better do all the right things on the first, second, fourth, and fifth date. She runs a scorecard on your performance. Like you get an A in geography, I got a B in history. Well, she looks at your confidence, self-control, and her challenge. She doesn't use those words, but she's wired that way ever since she was feeding the babies in the cave while the old man was out looking for the tigers. And that's the way she's wired.
So you're earning it with her.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, in love, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. And in the beginning, it's a cat and mouse game. And what guys do is they go out on the first date, and at the end of the date says, well, let's go out on a second date. Rather than let her walk away for a week, not hear from you, and let that ferment like good grapes to make good wine, man doesn't realize that by hanging back and using patience, that this girl's interest will go up when she's thinking about him. The man's ego says, I got to be in front of her talking for her upper interest level. But no, when I'm away from her, it's like money in the bank.
Why is that? Because we're not talking?
No. That's because she's wondering about you. God, it's been 4 days. I had a great day with this guy. He's not calling me. How come? All the other guys are asking me to get married on the first date. This guy doesn't call me for a week after the first date. So you stick out like a sore thumb. And you got to remember, women's biggest complaint is the man rushes in. So I do a double reverse. You want it slow, baby? It's going to be super slow to where she's going nuts. What is it with this guy? I don't know if this guy likes me or not. Or I think he likes me, but I don't know how much. Now she talks to her 5 or 6 girlfriends, and they're all talking about it. Meanwhile, the other 3 guys have been calling her. They're calling her every night, leaving messages. She's not even thinking about them. This is what men don't get.
So it's more complicated than we think.
Yeah, and I don't mean this as a put down to men out there listening. Men don't realize how deep this goes with women. They haven't a clue.
So once we're able to wrangle this first date, this date that we're gonna go on, and then walk away from, not ask for a second date.
No, we don't ask a date on a date. I want her to think about what a great time she has had. So what happens when I come in, Dave, and I bother her with phone calls or messages or texting, I kill that. That spell goes away. It kills challenge, and challenge is 1/3 of romantic love, even though she's not aware of that.
Oh, okay. Now, what are the other things that we need to make sure that we accomplish or don't accomplish on a first date?
Okay. On the first date, you want to open the car door. You want to open the door. You want to pick the table, but you've gone to the restaurant before. You know where to sit. You pull a chair out for her. When she goes to the bathroom, you stand up. So we're going to do some of the things from the bad old days that the feministas hate. Now, and added to this, also when you go back to get her in the car, when she leans over to unlock the door on your side, that's a great sign that she's a good chick.
Yeah. I've got a friend that was it. If she didn't, he would walk around and let her into the car, and if she didn't pop the lock for him, that was it. She was already sunk.
Chaz Palminteri, in one of his mafia movies, he was talking to De Niro's son in the movie. I forget the name of the movie, but he says, "Tell me the facts of life. These are the facts of life."
That's the Bronx
When you walk
tale.
around, she'll pick that up. But the main thing is this: now, when you're with her, we don't want to talk about exes. We're not to bring that up. That doesn't help anything. We're to keep the conversation uplifting and positive, because most guys don't get past the first date. And we're going to look at her eyes. We're not going to look at her chest. We're not going to look at the waitresses and legs. We're not going to talk about sex. And we're going to make this girl laugh.
What do you mean we're not going to talk about sex? That's one of the first frontiers we need to cross. We need to establish that it's a sexual relationship and it's a sexual attraction.
I said, men rush into relationships. It'll all unfold naturally, but you can't rush a rose, Dave. You got to pour a little bit of water on there. You get back 2 or 3 days later, with a little more water. You can't pour 2 gallons of water; you'll drown the rose. And those will all be listed on your section of the radio site, by the way.
All right.
I got these tips all written out. You guys print them because you could always learn something. You could always increase that edge because I don't want you guys out there being used or going out with professional daters, women that don't like you. And by the way, you can listen to the radio show in Texas on the internet at 6 o'clock.
All right. When's the radio show on?
Friday at 6 on the computer.
Friday at 6 on the computer.
Doc Love, and if they want to phone in, they can phone in. I'll be happy to answer a question for them. But again,
DocLove.com.
That's it.
Now, I know you're giving us a little. You're treating us like a date. You're giving us a little bit. You're getting our interest, and then you're ready to run off, and we're gonna have to sit around till Friday wondering about what else. What else does Doc Love have to tell us? You say that one of the most important things on a first date is to make the whole evening light, make her laugh. Don't let it get serious. But
we don't want to talk about the oil slick.
Yeah, but what about people that aren't really naturally funny? I'm
excellent question, Dave. You ask her. Say, by the way, where were you raised? Oh, I was raised on a ranch in Oklahoma. Oh, really? How many acres? Oh, 500. Did you have horses? Yeah. Did you milk cows? Well, how'd you like living there? How'd you like get along with your parents? And when she answers a question, ask her a question on what she said, just like Larry King never does.
Like Larry King never does.
Yeah, and I want her talking 60-70% of the time.
Yeah, but don't have a list of questions and then scratch them off like Larry King does.
That's so bad.
God. He's such a horrible interview.
You know, he's more interested in getting his little scratch list than making it. If I ask a guy the first question, let's say I have 10 questions, what I do is I roll on that and I beat it to death till I go to question 2. You don't know what he's going to say. How do you know your number 2 question is better than?
Or that it'll even be relevant or pertinent after question 1's been asked and answered. Now, ask the questions. Ask more questions on top of the questions, and as you say, keep it light. The first date, obviously, if you say most men never get past the first date, then I guess the first date probably is the most important date of all.
It is the most important. Now, there's 2 ways to go about this. Let's say you met this girl at a party for 5 minutes, or maybe a radio convention. Maybe you talked to her 20 minutes. What you want to do, you don't want to go out on the big date, which will be listed on your website. You want to go out on a small date for coffee. Just say, look, let's meet at Starbucks at 5 o'clock on 13th in Arizona. Can you make it? Yeah. And then you meet her there for 45 minutes. And then at 6:45, you walk her to the car, and hopefully she says, I had a nice time, Doc. Let's do this again. Women, when they like you, they'll help you. You got to listen. Another big complaint women have is that guys don't listen. Just listen to women. They don't lie. But you got to listen. And then you got to read in between the lines. And that's the last chapter of my book called Womanese. They don't speak English.
The System. Doc Love, our latest addition to the Brain Trust, and definitely with your years of research and tens of thousands of women and couples interviewed, you have certainly got what you call it a system. It is the system for the interaction between men and women, and you've so graced our radio airwaves to share some of those tidbits and knowledge with a one-on-one. And we appreciate this time and look forward to your computer online broadcast this coming Friday, 6 p.m. And until next time, Doc Love, we'll be looking after the women that you show us how to look after.
I hope so, because if you don't, they're going to send you into the pangs of rejection. And for some reason, guys hate rejection. I don't know why.
Oh, well, rejection doesn't get you where you want to go. Doc Love from DocLove.com.